Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our very informal conversation about what it's like here at Harvard Extension School and what it's like after graduation. So my name is Jill Felicio, and I'm the Director of Advancement here, and most proudly a member of Harvard Extension School's classes of 2000 and 2013. And I am here with some extraordinary alumni of our degree programs to have a chat about what it really is like to study here and the meaning of that study and the life after Harvard that is an incredibly rich chapter. So I would love to just jump right in and ask about your personal experiences here. What was that degree like and what impact did it have? Let's see, Ariel, can I jump to you first?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ariel Gamino. I live in Austin, Texas. IT, ALM and IT of '03. Yeah, and one of the things that I'm really grateful about in my life and my journey is that the degree from the Extension School has given me so much for so long. And now that I'm part of the Alumni Association now. I'm a director of regional engagement, and I have loved every minute of it because the people you get to meet and the things you get to do, and it's been amazing for me.
Awesome. And yeah, we're so grateful for your volunteer service and helping to build our community. On that note, Lori, if you'd like to chime in, you are also in that same neck of the woods as Ariel.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Jill, for having me. Hello, I'm Lori Blewett. I am also in Austin, Texas, though in South Austin, and Ariel's towards the north there. I've just really enjoyed being part of the Extension School and the Alumni Network. And I graduated in 2018 in the IT Digital Media Design program. And it has been really one of the highlights of my experience. And as Ariel mentioned, this journey through the Extension School and then just getting to meet different people in different walks of life, industries, and especially during this pandemic, just really forging some new friendships, even though virtual. It's been a lot of fun to stay connected with lots of different people. It's been great.
That's awesome. Now, speaking of the pandemic, Michael, if you would like to chime in here, I think you have a really interesting thought on what your experience was like from a distance. So you studied just outside of New York City. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your time at HES?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Michael Fabiano, and I graduated with a master in journalism in 2016. I live in Madison, New Jersey, which is not too far outside of New York City. The Harvard Extension program was ideal for me. I was at a point in my career where I had already gotten an MBA and never thought I would go through another master's program, but I just felt I needed to retool myself to where I was at in my career, and I was looking for a flexible program, one that was also global and could fit into my schedule. So what was great about the program is if you really work your schedule, you can customize it a little bit. And I was able to take classes in the law school, as well as journalism, technology management, negotiations. So this was really perfect for me, and it was good for my employer too, who really liked the fact that I was focused on making the degree applicable to the work I was doing. The other thing is you can take these skills into the workplace if you're working full-time and going to school full-time. While a lot of my classes were live online, I was able to travel and take classes in Boston and just work it out. And I think that's the big thing, is you just have to figure out how to make it work.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, the time spent on campus really is priceless. That residency is, so fulfilling and such just, bucket list time here. So don't look at that residency with any hesitancy. It's a gift, honestly. So thank you, Michael, for sharing that. You did take a lot of courses elsewhere at Harvard, and there is a very one Harvard feeling. And Sol, speaking of which, has some experience even working in data science at the School of Engineering. So Sol, tell us about you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jill. And it's great to hear everyone's stories, because I think that one of the things that brings us together as students and alumni from the Harvard Extension School is not necessarily our backgrounds, but is this common denominator on evolving with the times, on also self development and going deep in specific areas, and this intellectual curiosity and appreciation that we all have across the board. So that I have met so many different people in our school as a student, as an alumna. I actually am the chair of the Midwest chapter for our Alumni Association, and I am a data science class of 2018, just like Lori. We were in the same class, but my experience is very similar to Michael's. I actually had to plan 2 years, and I planned them out in 4. So I decided I was going to do 2 years in 4 years. I was working full time. I started my life as an economic mathematician, and it was intense. But if you plan them out, the classes that you're going to take, you are actually going to be very successful. And while I was in the program, in the computer science program, then I really made the leap to the data science part of it, and I excelled, and I was invited to be a teaching fellow for the Harvard data science program and the engineering school. And actually I started doing that, I think it was 2017, before I even graduated. And now they wrangled me, and I'm actually doing the summer. So yesterday I was actually being the section instructor for data science during the summer. I'm going to be the lab and the section instructor. But it's wonderful to be able to have that academia exposure. And thanks to that, I live 1/5 of my life in academia, and 4/5 of my life in the private sector. But my experience was just like Michael. I mean, I had to plan it out. I was working full time. I have a family and a lot of pets. If you know me, you know that I love my furry friends. And everyone needs, right, mom, or your attention. I currently have teenagers, but my kids also grew up through my Harvard experience, and which was amazing. When we do these recaps, and they were little, right, and with their teddy bears, and then when I graduated, they were big people. And everyone, that role modeling to the family, I think, is something that we can actually do that goes beyond other schools. And I did the same thing as Michael. I took classes in different schools in that entire one Harvard experience. I even took classes a lot in humanities, to work in my natural language processing, even though that is artificial intelligence, how to actually have this very open-minded framework by, doing the same thing, but as in a human loop. So I really pushed myself in levels that I never even thought I could do to begin with. And I owe all of that to Harvard and Harvard Extension School, because without that, I wouldn't have discovered the extra depths that I was actually able to go through, even though I came into the program as already a very accomplished professional.
That's fabulous, Sol. And you bring up such a good point about balance and how to do this while managing all the obligations of life. And I think that's another unifying factor. We mentioned that everyone here is a lifelong learner, ambitious, they want to learn. I think also they do it while balancing a million things. And I remember writing my own thesis in the government department while 9 months pregnant. Like, it's just life, and you do what you need to do. So I wonder if anyone else would like to chime in with any sort of advice on, how do you get through it when you have a job, you're caring for a parent, you have other obligations of children. How did you make that work?
I will say that you don't realize how tough it's going to be until you're actually doing it. I think one of the things that I learned to do is not to overcommit. having to go to work, commute, come back and hit the books really puts a lot of weight on your life. So getting to this, knowing that it's going to be hard. There's going to be days that you don't see your family, or they see a little of you. You're gonna see a little of your bed. So make sure you have realistic expectations of that. My advice is to get a routine. I remember my second master's when I did 100% online. I would basically, do your with the kids, put them to bed and hit the books, because otherwise you can't really do it. And yeah, whatever your responsibilities are, set aside some time for that. But at the end, once you're finished and when you look back and see of all the balance you had to do, it's a really rewarding feeling when you finally graduate and you finally say, okay, it was worth it. So highly recommend it, but don't overcommit and do know that it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the first thing you have to do is figure out what your favorite coffee is and know that you're going to have a lot of it for at least a 2 or 3 year period. But I agree, it might sound like a daunting task. I mean, the best advice I can give is to just build it into your schedule right out of the gate. And while the pandemic was, not great for everybody around the world, what it did open up is this idea that we can have hybrid work environments now, and we can have global conference calls. So in an interesting way, it's sort of opened up this opportunity, I think, for folks who maybe were in the office all the time, but can now have more of a hybrid work environment. So hopefully it'll make it easier to schedule these things, but I think you have to let people know what you're doing, build it into the schedule, build it into your travel schedule. And you find that if you really want to do something, like, you can make it work. And the other thing, like I said, is also show your employer, if you are employed, show them that these things that you're doing, you're bringing them into the workplace. And they'll really value that, and you'll get more support, and they'll see that that you're actually able to do your work and get through the classes. And if you do that right, they'll really value you, because they'll see that you can actually take on more.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, because the employer portion, when I was actually doing my degree at Harvard, I was at a hedge fund. I was the chief economist at the hedge fund. And I did the same thing as Michael, right? And I needed time, for example, to go for an exam or to get it proctored, right? Or I actually ended up going to campus many more times than I was required to, because I really enjoyed that, being on campus and the residency experience. And that one Harvard experience really allowed me to be with a lot of different people, not just from our school, from different schools, including the college. And that entire support system that Michael talks about is true. If you're open, I mean, then your employer is going to be like, did you get an A? You better get an A, right? I mean, they're like supporting you, like, everyone doesn't talk to Sol because she has to study. She's going to have, you see, things like that. People will surprise you. And also your family and your children will surprise you. Everyone is going to be behind you. And I think that us that have built organizations know that one of the things that one does is one goes out to get their generals, right? I mean, Rome had legions and generals for a reason. That's how you conquest. That's how you can really make, meaningful change. But our personal experiences also are dependent of the people that are behind you. And sometimes it can be a friend that can actually really give you a great word of support, but your family, your little kids, your employers will surprise you in how everyone is so proud that you are, shooting over the moon, and it's doable.
From my experience, all of this, this work-life balance is so important. And then also bringing in the instructors and your classmates, that all adds to your network of support and will help you get through some of those challenging times, because, a lot of work schedules, they go in cycles, or projects come up and things like that. And it's good to know that you have that support network. I did my degree in digital media design, as I mentioned, and working in communications, I was just taking one course at a semester because that's what was being reimbursed. And then eventually I was able to take more classes, and just the support is really amazing. And the faculty are also so helpful. I had 2 kids during my degree, so I know what it's like. Yeah, so and I had the same instructor, actually. I had to say, hey, I'm having a baby later on this semester. And so, they just work with you. And I think, like what Michael said, just working out a schedule. I couldn't have done it without my husband knowing that as soon as he gets home from work, then that's when I go to work. And so it was really helpful to kind of compartmentalize my work schedule, my home schedule, and then just make sure it's a good fit, right? And to remember to balance some of the hard classes with the not easy classes, but classes for me that would take more time, where I had to learn more skills, and then some classes where I just knew that I would enjoy the creative process. And balancing those types of classes was really helpful. So yeah.
I want to add to what Lori just said. It's so important. I could only take one class a semester the majority of the time. Very few semesters I was able to take 2 classes because of my schedule. And also at the beginning, which probably if you have seen some the Sanders video, that I am hearing disabled, and this happened to me 6 months before I started at Harvard. So I really didn't even know if I was going to be able to participate into a degree. I didn't even know how to hear. One day I just couldn't hear anymore. I received tons of support from Harvard Accessibility's office to be able to actually accomplish part of what you see behind me on this wall. But what Lori said, I could only take, it wasn't a reimbursement thing, it was my workload and also my health. I could only take 1 class a semester. Very few semesters I took 2. And I also took advantage of the summer. The summers were really hard. Those classes were very difficult. But my advice is, as everybody here, this panel has said, don't overcommit. Do what you can objectively do, plan it out, but also your homeworks, in my case, they were all problem sets because the majority were at the engineering school. Do them as soon as possible. Don't leave things for the weekend. I think a lot of us being, working adults, we leave things for the weekend because we have a lot more time in the weekend. If you do it as you get it, then you will be able to find that family balance and even go camping with your children while getting a degree, which I did.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, what's really important is that I think everyone think about taking advantage of the support services that the school offers. There's a math center, there's a writing center,
Yep.
There are tutors, there are many ways to get help. And our academic advisors are there to provide support. But I would say my piece of advice would be to make connections with every faculty member that you have, because they are so devoted to making your life, richer and more fuller through their instruction. And they will want to hear from you, even once you're done, on the other side of your graduation, they want to know how you're doing. So, take advantage of that. And I think in our master's programs, there's the opportunities at times to do a thesis or a capstone, and they can be very intimidating. But there is help in that process as well. And I think it's such a reward on the other end of that project. When you have finished it, it's like a child. So if anyone would like to comment on a thesis or a capstone, Lori, I have seen your capstone work. So if you want to say anything about that process or anything about faculty, I think we are blessed with our faculty. And our faculty truly are the heart of our academic program. So if anyone wants to chime in, anybody who's a pet favorite, or a project that you just loved.
Sure. I'd love to talk about that. I'm going to back up a little bit, though, and just talk about how I selected the extension school because of its flexibility. I did a majority of my classes online, and that was one of the major factors in choosing that. And originally, when I started my degree, I was on the thesis track because that was the only one that I could do remote. However, as I neared the end of my degree, they allowed an online capstone project, and I was very excited about that. And I created a short documentary film about my neighborhood, and that was an amazing experience. I got to meet a lot of my neighbors. And also, it's now being used around the state as a project about oak wilt. So, if you're interested, it'll be available somewhere on there. But it was just so exciting to be able to provide this type of project. And I will say that through my video courses at Harvard Extension School and just the number of types of classes with this liberal arts just model has really helped me through the pandemic, because I work at a downtown church and everything went online. And so because of these classes that I took at Harvard and through doing my capstone, I was able to translate those skills directly into my work. And so I just also want to encourage to take some of those courses that you think are fun and build into your schedule things that are interesting that may not directly relate to what you're doing right now, because you never know how you might use those skills. And I'm just so grateful that those opportunities were available to me and has allowed me to work pretty much almost 100% remotely from home using those skills. So a great capstone project, and just a lot of opportunities at the Extension School and options to fit anyone's lifestyle and work schedule.
Yeah, I had a great experience with my capstone. I wrote about the future of work in the US and how the workforce was changing, to be more of a gig economy. And I got to interview 5 CEOs, and it was just a lot of fun, really interesting work, and great feedback from my mentor and advisor. So I think if you can do something that is relatable to your work and what you do, because I was actually going through a project at work where I was looking to transform the global workforce on my team and how we work. So it was one of those things that I was able to choose something that related to my major of journalism, but also related directly to work and try to make it applicable and real. So that was really helpful if you can do that. Also, my favorite professor is Alan Ryan. He's teaches the Constitution and the Media, the great class about free speech in the media and the evolution of it in the US. And he was so good, I took a second class on intellectual property with him. But just a good example of, you can find these great professors that you can keep in touch with. And I've since kept in touch with them. And in fact, I'm on the board now of the journalism program with him. And that's been a fun experience as well.
That's so great, Michael. Thank you for serving on that advisory board. And there are opportunities for alumni to come back and advise programs. So that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Ariel?
Yeah, I would say that, I had the opportunity to do both capstone and a thesis. I did a capstone in my last master, predictive analytics master's. And I enjoy my thesis better. I think I was able to learn more from it than my capstone. My capstone was a good, learning experience through a group of us and classmates. But my thesis really allowed me to dig into a topic that I wanted to do and basically learn, because that's the whole thing that you do in semester. And you have the support of your professor, or you have support of your, the staff. And for me, a thesis was better because you learn more and you get really to become an expert in something.
I can tell you
about the faculty, because what you said, Jill, about keeping in touch with the faculty, how they care. My experience is that a lot of the faculty of our school, or a lot of the professors teaching in our school, were actually also teaching in other schools, right, at Harvard. And they had such an amazing positive bias towards the students of our school, because we bring so much a different level of experience that is actually in a continuum, right? We don't necessarily stop our lives to, develop a degree, at Harvard. We actually, at the same time, and a lot of times, we have gone through different evolution of different jobs. So it does bring a different depth, even for the professors, right? For faculty. And they are so open to talk to you. You can create amazing bonds, because even though they are faculty, they see you in a more peer level than the other professors in other schools see their students. And that is actually true across the board. When you go to residencies, they actually get together with you in bars. And, I don't drink anything. And Dorian Klein, one of the professors that I took almost every class that he offered, he actually was like, you should have a Shirley Temple in a martini glass. And ever since that day, now all my Shirley Temples are in martini glasses. And, I think the experience with faculty in our school is so different because of that, because you come a little bit more in a peer level. And that translates to other faculty of other schools. The moment they know that you're from the extension school, they open up in a different way. And I think that the fact that I teach, right, continuously, even though I'm not a student anymore, in data science, I think is a representation of that. It exemplifies that you come in a different level, and also with a different background. And this continues also in the support with your professors. I actually requested, to two professors, recommendation letters for a PhD that I'm engaging in mental health, in psychiatry and AI. I work a lot in intersecting fields of, artificial intelligence, fourth industrial revolution, and practical human fields, economics, supply chain finance, psychiatry. And I also, in my company, I developed a specific department just to work on grants and research, right? But for this specific PhD, I reached out to this, professors that I haven't spoken in, a good year and a half. And they were more than excited to give me their support. And what you said, Jill, about that is so true. And I want everybody to feel that you come in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, there's a depth of commitment from our student body. And I think there's a lot of peer-to-peer learning that goes on as well. I mean, our average age student is, between 33 and 35 years old, and they are working somewhere in the mid-level to top of their industry. So people come from different, obviously industries, but also countries. I mean, our students come from 120 countries. So really just the depth of cultural life and professional experience that they bring just infuses every class with just such depth of conversation and perspectives. It's just incredible. Lori.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Just being able to meet so many people from all around the world, and having an international, a Pulitzer Prize winning instructor provide feedback on my photography 3 years after I took his class. I think that really illustrates how willing the faculty and instructors are willing to commit to your growth, right? And it's just really heartwarming, and just the connections that they can help make. And to Sol's point about recommendations, I asked two of my instructors after I graduated to provide some LinkedIn recommendations, and they were more than happy to do that. And I'm proud to say that, the network is also really amazing, like you mentioned, Jill, with students from 120 countries. And, there's probably nowhere that you will go that there isn't some sort of Harvard connection. And I was thinking about it when you invited us to talk, Jill. My first interview and my only interview after Harvard was given to me by a Harvard alumni. And so one, probably my qualifications, but also that connection through the network is really invaluable. And so I just can't stress enough how the One Harvard family and just being able to participate and take classes and learn in this lifelong learning environment is just amazing. And I continue to learn and stay connected with the alumni network. So it's one of my goals and missions as the chair of the Texas chapter is just to help people stay connected well past graduation as well. So you've got the journey during the extension school, and then after you graduate, then it's like the rest of your life, you've got a family to connect with. So it's really exciting.
I would say that's the best kept secret about becoming an alum of the extension school. You have access after you're finished to an amazing group of people that and a network that is bigger than yourself. And you become part of a remarkable group of people. And like Lori said, meeting them and they're on top of the industry and all the events and abilities that you have access to, from the Harvard Extension Alumni Association in Texas or in Midwest New York, to the Harvard clubs. Here in Texas, we have the Houston Club, the Dallas Club, San Antonio, Austin, all of them available to you because you're an alum. So it's a really good benefit that all the tears and all the pain and all the money you put into your program, the investment that you make in yourself do pay off for life.
Mm-hmm.
And the coffee, right, Ariel?
Yeah, the coffee too.
Yeah, I agree with Ariel. I mean, it's really opened up new relationships that I wouldn't have had, as there's a really strong affiliation with the university across all of the 12 degree granting schools, right? And my professional network is better than it's ever been, and it's humbling. But I look forward to engaging with the Harvard community for the rest of my life in different ways.
That is so true. And I think that a lot of times we're in the West, right? We think about how it impacts us, right? What is the benefit to us, right? Of having a Harvard degree. I have actually had the reciprocal experience as well, not just how it has impacted me. Clearly, it has made me a better leader. I have been able to be founder of incredibly disruptive, being top of my game, top internationally as an authority in my field of great companies, right? In the cloud, literally reinventing the cloud, doing data science, consulting for amazing firms, even having things that are AI for social good, right? Giving back in the times of COVID, but also the fact that that open network that you have across all these different schools is not just how it boosts you up, it's also how people can reach out to you. So for example, in one of my companies, the majority of the company employees are Harvard alumni, and they come from different schools. It's not just extension, they come literally from engineering. I did not know these people before I went to Harvard and I graduated. They have found me via the alumni network. And I even co-founded a company in Hong Kong because of Harvard in blockchain and in counterfeiting, but anti-counterfeiting technology. But my point is that the impact that Harvard and Harvard Extension School has to one as a human, as a professional, goes beyond how it impacts one directly. It also affects how you can impact the world. I have been, and it's true, it's so humbling, and I will do it every single day again, because you really can make a difference. Absolutely.
Well, that's so well said. And there are so many benefits of being a Harvard graduate. And there is, or in the resource section of this fair, you can find a flyer. I mean, really, they are too many to mention, but generally you're a member of both the Harvard Extension Alumni Association as well as the Harvard Alumni Association for life, for free, immediate upon graduation. And graduation day is one of the most special bucket list days that I would encourage anyone who's thinking about enrolling to keep your eye on that day and have that be a driving force of being in that yard on graduation day alongside all of Harvard's other graduates. It's really a profound day and just the beginning of what you've all described as just really a journey and a really magical one. And it sounds cheesy and it can't be real, but I think the alumni world has such support and such investment in relationship building and professional as well as social and events for life and learning opportunities for life. And that's what we try to extend. And I think we do well. And we try to provide resources in cities where our populations reside, direct resources in your cities. And I think that's a real differentiator from other programs. I think, as a student, you have support in your city, you have alumni supporting you, you have fellow students supporting you, and that's a real game changer. And I think really necessary when you're trying to do Harvard work while balancing everything else. So, we are running out of time. If anyone would like to say anything else, the floor is yours.
I just want to say that, to those of you thinking about the extension school and what comes next, you are doing what you're doing because you want to prepare yourself for the future. You want to know that the future you is going to be better than the current you. And I for me personally, going to the extension school, being a Harvard alum, has changed my my entire career and my perspective. It will change your trajectory in ways that you don't realize it. And the professional name of such a great institution, will go with you forever. So I highly encourage you to seek out education through extension school because it's such a great place and the benefits are just amazing. So do it.
Well said. And I am going to quote someone on the call, Michael. I'm going to quote you because you say our alumni do not stand still. And I think that is spot on. And really, there's nothing you can't do when you've done this degree. I think that's the thing that I hear most when I meet alumni and students and when I read survey responses, that the impact of this degree is life-changing. And it is as personally transforming as it is professionally transforming. So I can't thank you all for sharing what it was like doing this. And I hope it brings great value to people who are weighing this very important decision of whether to come to Harvard or to try or to invest somewhere else. So thank you all. And I hope to see you all in person in the near future. But in the meantime, take good care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I can't wait to see everybody at Harvard.
Oh, yes. Thank you.